Welcome, Dan Williams, Survive Outdoors, and we're going to end our poison ivy series today on treatment. What you can take over the counter, a little bit of natural, and prescription pharmaceutical. If you're new to this channel, we do wilderness medicine videos. We talk about what happens if you get injured in the outdoors, backpacking, hiking, hunting. We do some gear reviews. Today we're going to finish up the poison ivy. We've exhausted this topic. So treatment. So poison ivy has an oil called urushiol, and one of the best ways you can not get poison ivy is to just avoid it. And that's pretty hard to do when you're in the outdoors. The next thing you can do is get a barrier cream. Besides wearing long sleeves and gloves and so on and so forth, you can use a barrier cream. There's a bunch of different brands. They're all about the same. This one I'm going to put up here is just one of many. I'll prescribe this a lot. It's over the counter. I'll recommend or advise it to, for example, people that are working in a factory and they're around a lot of oils or lubricants and they get a contact dermatitis. It's a little cumbersome. You got to put it on all the time and you have to wash it off. But it does work. A lot of people don't like using that. So over the counter, one of them I recommend a lot is an oatmeal bath. Aveeno makes a great oatmeal solution, and all that does is relieve the itching. Great for kids, great for adults. There's another one called by Domeboros, D-O-M-E-B-O-R-O-S. I probably butchered the name, but it's going to be right here or here. And that also, it's a nice, cool, relaxing solution that prevents itching. And that's really all that does. That's not going to repair the damage. Just as Caladryl, which the main ingredient in that is Calamine Lotion. And again, that's just going to relieve the itching. The other ones you can use for itching are, there's one called Tecnu, T-E-C-N-U. There's over-the-counter hydrocortisone, cortisone 10, hydrocort. These are all 1% creams. I believe they do make an ointment. Ivy Rest, that's another one. And all those do, main ingredient on these, diphenhydramine. What is diphenhydramine? Benadryl. So these creams definitely relieve the itching, except the steroid cream, clearly that doesn't have diphenhydramine in it. Jewelweed. That is a weed, and it has a really nice little orange flower. And often, ironically, it grows near poison ivy. Now you can take the stems and the plant leaves of that and crush it up, make a paste, few drops of water, and rub it on, and it will relieve the itching. Now, for all my natural individuals out there, if they've done some excessive research on jewelweed, and head-to-head with jewelweed compared to soap and water, it doesn't do as well as soap and water. But if you're in the outdoors and you don't have anything with you, the jewelweed is a great way to go. One of the more expensive products, it runs anywhere from $30 to $45 a tube, is Xanafel, Z-A-N-A-F-E-L, and we'll put the box one of the sides here. And they tout that what that does, it actually binds with the oil, you rub it on your skin, and you get rid of the oil. Now that does work. However, what they state, I don't really quite wrap my brain around this. When a company has a fantastic product, why they have to go to the extremes and really come up with some astronomical statement is beyond me. But on the box, they literally state, you can use this anytime, in capital letters, after you've been encountered poison ivy, and it will bind with the oil. Well, that's pretty well physiologically impossible. So the oil is absorbed into the skin. If you're on a Friday afternoon, you get poison ivy, late that night, 10 o'clock, you take a soapy bath and wash it all off, and then on Sunday, 3 to 4 or 5 days later, you start getting poison ivy. That reaction and that rash is from a histamine reaction, which we're going to talk about briefly here. That is not going to be binding. It's like a day late and a dollar short. Nevertheless, Xanafel does work, and not bad to keep in your pack, but I'm here to tell you it is a little pricey. So how does this rash occur and why? So just a tiny bit of biochem here. And I'm sure you all are familiar with histamines, and then you take an antihistamine. And what does histamine do? When you have an allergic reaction, your immune system goes, what in the hell is going on with my body? And if it's a systemic reaction, like to a medication or bee sting, your bronchial tubes in your lungs constrict, you get a rash, breathing is difficult. Same thing is going to happen when you have a contact dermatitis, except obviously you're not going to have the respiratory problems. So histamine's released, and then there's a part of a cell that's called cytokines. This is released, okay? Now, you've probably, because of COVID, heard of cytokine storm. So cytokines are released, and they cause major inflammation. That's why in COVID-19 and severe cases, prednisone works pretty well in alleviating some of those intense symptoms. Works great for asthma. So you get this cytokine storm that's kind of localized. It's not really a cytokine storm, but you do get a cytokine release. So your skin gets very inflamed at that area, and it itches like crazy, and then these blisters form. And no, you're not going to spread it with the blisters. That's fluid that your body is presenting and making, and that is not from the poison ivy itself. All right, prescription meds. What do I prescribe and 90% of my colleagues prescribe when it comes to poison ivy? Really all depends. It's a minimal, moderate, severe response. So very minimal reactions to poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac. You can do a topical prescription steroid cream. I usually advise Benadryl at bedtime, Zyrtec during the day, or you can do Xyzal, X-Y-Z-A-L, at bedtime, and that is a great antihistamine. It will tend to make you drowsy, hence you take it at bedtime, and that usually is enough. Variety of prescription steroid creams out there. I like clobetasol. It's a little more potent. Little subnote. You get an over-the-counter cortisone cream, or even one that is prescribed by your healthcare provider. If you cover the cream up with a Band-Aid, cellophane, your sleeve, it will make the cream more potent because it cannot evaporate. Nice little trick that you might want to try. So that's what I do in mild cases, and that usually does really well. If you did nothing at all, like I said in the last video, it's going to last about 2 to 3 weeks, but it's very uncomfortable. All right, for my healthcare providers out there, Medrol dose packs. What that is a pre-packaged box of a low-dose steroid, 654321. Does not work well at all with poison ivy. I can't tell you how many people I've had come that were given a Medrol dose pack, they come back and the poison ivy is actually worse. So in moderate cases to severe, I will do 15 days of prednisone. So I'm going to do 60 milligrams a day for 5, 40 milligrams a day for 5, 20 milligrams a day for 5, with a steroid cream like Cutavate, clobetasol, Benadryl at bedtime. Sometimes I'll do hydroxyzine for itching. Will make you drowsy. Shouldn't be taking that at work. And this works really well. In fact, they have shown that the prednisone, if you take that within 24 hours, a lot of individuals notice a reduction in their poison ivy in less than 24 hours. NCBI did a head-to-head study with Medrol dose pack and prednisone. They also did a 15-day course of prednisone compared to 5 days, 40 milligrams a day for 5 days of prednisone. Didn't do any good. Did some good, obviously, but it did not basically alleviate it. So then in about day 10, day 12, day 13, comes back with a vengeance. So you really got to go with that 15 days of prednisone. Now, red flag on prednisone. I really don't like giving it with people with glaucoma. It increases intraocular pressure. It raises your sugars. It can cause insomnia. When I take it on day 3, I usually have insomnia. Increases appetite, can raise your blood pressure. Now, just because you have hypertension doesn't mean you can't take it. It's going to raise your blood pressure a tad. It's not like, oh my God, I got to stay away from it. The other thing with your sugars, I have given it to diabetics. If I do give it to diabetics, I want them to take their sugars at least 3 times a day and check them. If they get 250, 300, they need to stop it. So there you have it. So prednisone, once again, comes into the rescue. It's a very commonly prescribed med, works fantastic with a little bit of caution and common sense. Poison ivy, over-the-counter treatment and prescription treatment. Hope that fills you in on all those areas. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your face to the wind. We'll see you next time.